Hello all. Welcome to Wild Wild Wes's Gelvin Valley for Farming Simulator 15. I'm still having a ball with this map, and every time I come back to it, it's with anticipation. And maybe it's not the same for you all after over 250 episodes, but I still am loving it. Let me get this thing hired, as I seem to recall. Yeah, he's not full. Let me see which direction. Here we go. I do have a full truck to deal with, so wrap up. I wish it was that easy in real life to put the top on, that's for sure. I remember wrangling a lot of them. Be hot and sweaty, dusty, dirty work back in the day, and whew, we'd never come down a hill quite like that if we were doing this in real life. We are still harvesting canola here on Gelvin Valley, and I believe we are down to, let's see, field 18 and 23 and 25. So almost done with the harvest season, and I don't know if we'll get another truck yet out of this field or not. Hopefully. Taking this to storage, and once again, my goal is, I'm using a borrowed truck. My goal is to pick a time to take it to market, and I gotta do it starting at the top of the hour, whenever that is, and take only an hour to get it all sold before the algorithms of the game force the pricing downward, the way the supply-demand model works in here. At the bottom of the valley here, over the creek, there's Home Sweet Home just to the left, and we'll come in here and drop off our crop. Probably should check here in a little bit and see, I don't remember just how much. You know, we have quite a bit more fields with what we're doing. Ah, that's right. Let me come down here just to see the fill plane. Dump this. Look at that. So satisfying to see a mod work. It's gonna burp out over the top and then magically stop. Probably should time it just a little bit differently so that it does it up until the truck empties out. Maybe it would help just a little bit. But anyhow, I like that effect. It'll go back down. Time we come in here again. Yeah, so I am in the hole, even more so now that I've hired my combine. You know what's amazing, the economics in here. I can hire a guy to sit on the combine seat while I take the truck to unload, and he happily gives the seat up when I return to the field, and is happy with that, just working whenever he's called upon. One of the anomalies of the game. It would never work that way in real life. You know, workers like to have steady source of income for some reason. So anyway, we're down to, like I say, 2 full fields, although they're small ones, and this larger one. So as soon as we get done with this field here, I'm going to be taking the combine and returning it. You know, I tried a season here with a bigger machine, and even though it feels like, you know, we've been harvesting forever, I'm sure, it actually is. Oh, look at that, it's ready to go. We actually are harvesting quite a bit quicker than normal. It's just we have a lot of acres to get done, which in turn I'm hoping translates into more profits. Yeah, this is a steep booger of a field here, so you're not moving, so I'll come up here. Could be he made it just to the end. Alright, I'm going to park that there. And I'll take over the hire. Back up just a little bit. Just amazing the coating that went into this. As I look at the grain hitting the bottom of the truck, I have no idea how they coated all that. In the old days, there was a fill plane in each of the trailers, and it would just rise as you filled it, and that would just work pretty well. Alright, let me put that there, and I will resume. This time driving it myself. The hired help was fired, so maybe we'll be able to fit the rest of this field in here. Now, last time when we had an episode in here, I believe I was sharing about a purchase our family recently made to get just a couple more acres, and was kind of sharing about the process of that. It's probably going to come up a number of times, as I'll try to share kind of what we're doing. As again, part of my motivation for some of these videos, just to exercise my voice, and one is to kind of leave something for the kids, although they hopefully will remember. Oh, there we go, just barely got it. Hopefully we'll remember a lot of the things, that we're doing down there as a family. But we've now put in some time on the property. It's been several weeks that we've had it. And I think last time I was sharing that, one of the things we're doing is, came inside, is, there's a lot of, we bought the property as is, so there's a lot of junk that was just left for us, and there's maybe a few useful things in there that we can pick out, but we really need to get one of those big box dumpsters or whatever, where they bring it in with a big old truck and haul it away for you. And it holds, 30, 40 yards of material. And hopefully we can do it in one. But before we do that, we wanted to make sure we had our arms around all of the potential garbage, that needs to be picked up, because it's expensive to rent these units. I think they charge $750 or something to get one. And you only get it for 4 days, 5 days, or whatever. So, we all have day jobs. We're working, and so a lot of the stuff that we're able to do on the property comes from our time in the afternoons, evenings, weekends, and so it'd be very easy to run out of our 5-day window. And, if we're not able to get it in that 5-day window, of course, we gotta pay the same fee all over again, and that's, of course, to be avoided. So we wanted to make sure we located as much of the junk that we want to throw away as we can. And so that's kind of what we've been doing, discovering every briar patch seems to have a prize in it. So we're finding all these so-called prizes. Some of them are burnable, it's like old wood. We found an old, I think it was a cattle feeder in a briar patch. I guess one of the previous owners used to feed his cattle in there. Wasn't really undercover, so I guess you did it when the weather was decent. So we've already burned it, and a lot of this is just hard to deal with too. It would take 4 and 5 times the amount of time if we sat down with many of these things, like take this cattle feeder. And what I'd love to be able to do, but I can't, we just can't afford the time, is to first, before we burn it, remove all the hardware, the nails and screws and all that kind of stuff. But there just isn't the time. When you try to get it out of those old boards, it just, you end up wasting all your daylight. And since we, have day jobs and everything, it's and school, we just don't have the time to do that. So we're just kind of putting it on a pile and lighting a match and burning it this time of year. We're allowed to do that. I mean, we're kind of doing it in between rain showers. So some of the challenge is how do we light this stuff on fire. But fortunately, most of it seems, to be cooperating so far and just burning. But what it means, too, is we have a pile of, I don't know what you call it, toxic ashes. Not really toxic, meaning poison, but just full of metal, that's been through a fire. And I know it'll disintegrate in time. But I think what we'll do when we're done making burn piles is we'll come in with a front end loader and pick up the ashes. And I think that there's a place where we can take that. And I don't think we can put that in this dumpster. But anyway, it at least goes a little quicker when you can just take an old cabinet, an old cattle feeder, an old whatever, and chuck it on the fire and burn it up without worrying about nails and so forth. And, a part of me maybe says you wouldn't care about it at all. If you had a hole big enough, you could bury it and it would disintegrate over time. We don't have a hole. But obviously the problem is when you have screws and nails out and about, and someday you're going to be driving a tractor or pickup or anything wheeled object in the area, you worry about taking it out your tires. So, we want to make sure this pile that we have is kind of quarantined to one area where we're doing this, so that we can come in and clean up behind ourselves and take care of this. I'm just glad that there are places, that are able to deal with this. Now, some of the other prizes that this fella left behind have to do with nasty stuff. Now, when I say nasty, I'm talking chemical-like stuff. These are paint and varnish and finishes, that I wonder if the guy's spouse or something was kind of like mine. Every now and again, my wife enjoys working with furniture, and refinishing them, sanding them down, doing whatever. And I kind of think that this guy, either he or his wife did it, and they're just everywhere. And I know we've kind of talked as a family. It feels like that they would buy a bunch of cans of stuff for a particular project, and then there would be leftovers, and not knowing what to do with the leftovers, they would take them and stash them on a shelf somewhere, out in this guy's barn. And then it's like they would forget that they had those, and they would have another project, and they would buy a whole bunch of cans of it again. And when they were done, they'd take those leftovers and go stash them again on a shelf out in the barn. And over the years, it would just accumulated. And I know the guy that we purchased the property from, he was the son of the man that owned it. And he, when you take, you can go, there's a dump close by, a place to take garbage and refuse and all that. And I know they will take chemicals and that kind of thing, but they limit how much you can bring them, I think, per day. It's some obnoxious limit, where it's like 2 cans. And I mean, eventually you get through it, but, it wouldn't surprise me that we have a couple hundred cans of this stuff out there. So, who has time to just go to the dump every day until you get through all this? And I say it's obnoxious because it's one of those things, I don't agree with wanting to just pollute the planet, that we're on. Being a good steward requires more than that. And so when you want to do the right thing, what is frustrating is when they make it hard to do that. And so I wish, and maybe it's just knowing where to go, I wish there was a place we could take all of these cans and just tell them, look, we have a couple hundred cans. They're full of who knows what. Some of these cans are so old they're rusted shut, and and the outside is rusted as well. You can't even read what's on there. For all I know, it's some toxic something or other that I don't even know the name of. But I'm pretty sure most of it is probably just paint, varnish, and that kind of thing. But it'd be nice to have a place where you could take it, where they didn't limit you, because what this does, probably for most people, by putting a limit in there, they say, you know what, screw it. I'm going to just bury it, or I'm going to burn it, which is horrible, or, I'm not going to tell them what's in there. And, like I say, it makes it's frustrating when laws are such that they don't encourage good behavior. In this case here, it'd be nice if, let me see, there we go. It'd be nice if someone would just take it so that someone's like, okay, to do the right thing versus polluting the environment or whatever, there's a place to take it. And maybe I just need to do a little bit more looking. So, one of the things I've been told is that liquid form is the problem. And I get it. I mean, when it's in liquid form, it's much more insidious. If the can bursts and it gets over everything, it can cause problems. So one of the things we've been told is if the cans are dry, meaning everything in them has firmed up, dried up, solidified, that we are allowed to put those in the general dump disposal. And if they're wet, there is a way to make them dry, but doing it doesn't sound like any fun at all. There's, and I'm not sure what it's called. It's a stuff that goes on concrete floors. I remember we had it in the shop on the farm back in the day. You'd be working on something and some oil would spill on the floor. And so to clean it up, you would put this, it looked kind of like kitty litter, but I know it wasn't called kitty litter. Kitty litter probably would have smelled better, frankly. But it was some type of material, granular material, that would absorb things like spills. And so what someone recommended we could do is put this material in a big drum and mix in this material so that it gets all absorbed by this absorbent material and is basically dry. And I guess that locks the chemicals within that, and it makes it easier for disposal. So that's an option we're looking at too. I want to do the right thing, and it's just kind of a shame, so much of this accumulated at this guy's place. But otherwise, we are still busy trying to, like I say, I think we have most of the briar patches explored now, which is kind of cool. Found a couple good things in the patches, but mostly just junk. There's metal junk too, so we're trying to get all that all in the same place, so we can get ready for a big box. Oh shoot, something I'm just noticing? I am down to 1 minute on my rental contract, and a part of me is tempted to turn this sucker in and bring... Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna do it. Let's put this out. I'm gonna lock this here and get to my truck. I'm going to come collect what I have. See, this is within 28 minutes. I probably got to give this back too. Come on, get up the hill. I don't want my minute to go. I want to empty the combine and I'm going to turn them in from the field. By all rights, I should drive down there. Whoops. Come on, come on. Empty my combine. Oh, it's not totally there yet. There we go. It's got to get all the way out. See, I'm out of... okay, and then I got to get... Come on, baby. I'm looking at the 0-0 up there. I want to get... Oh, just enough time. All right, get to my garage and come to the combat return vehicle. Okay, return vehicle. Whew. Okay, what I didn't want to have happen was have it bill me for another half hour because I only have a little bit, of this field left to go. So, all right, this is going to force me now to... Let me go to the mod. This is... oh, and maybe one other thing I need to send in. Hold on, did I have... Yeah, this one here. Okay, I rented this. I'm going to return that. Okay. Now, is there anything else? I think those were the rent. Oh, no. I got the truck. What I don't know is if the other combine... All right. Let me quit messing around here. Let me get to my harvester. I want to get... Is it this one here? Oh, shoot. Was it this one? Oh, hopefully it was a 4x4 one. Rent. I'm going to need it for a couple hours, I think. Maybe this. Rent. Okay. Let me hop out, and I'm going to go down here. Yeah, that looks like the right combine, don't it? Okay. Alright, now let me get a cutter for it. I believe I was using this, yeah? That's 5.5 meters. Yeah, this one doesn't say. Yeah, I think this is the one I was using. Alright, we're going to rent this, also 3 hours. Because this one is narrow enough to fit in these other fields, narrow enough to take down the road. What I don't know is, and now I got to take it up to the other field and see if I'm able to unload in the truck. Whoops. Get over here. All right. Oh, happy days. I'm back to my beloved hillside. Even though it's a rental piece, very happy to have this machine again. Follows the contours of the ground, so I know I'll get a cleaner sample when I'm harvesting. Haha. We don't see the ad in game, of course. And it's narrow enough, I'll be able to harvest that field over there and basically finish. Oh, where's my manners? I need to get lights on here. So, and it's a little more manageable because I don't have to haul around a header trailer. Although I gotta say, I really did enjoy doing it. Smoke is kind of black. I did enjoy the challenge of doing that and having to set or put it on and take it off at each field that I went into. That did add a little extra challenge, but anyway, I should probably color this yellow. That would look better, wouldn't it? Just make sure I don't get caught on the bridge. Whoops. Got a car catching up to us. Get hear the sawmill kind of off to the left. I love those ambient sounds. We're almost to the field, almost up to number 18. I think we just have this one other bridge to go over and we'll be almost there. This particular combine too is much more reasonable in cost, at least from my pocketbook. It just we're not going to be able to get through it as quick. There's a tractor sitting there high and dry now. I just love watching the leveling on this thing work. That is so cool. There is a limit, but that's pretty good. Just how far it's able to keep it level. Yeah, once again, I dream of a mod that would ding the player for having a flat land machine on a hill like this, and would reward the player for having a hillside combine. So, maybe this won't take as long as I think it will. You know, you see the extra width that we're missing there. Whatever. Alright, let me get this ready for work. And off we'll go. And maybe just for my own edification, let me just back up here. I want to... Is that going to allow me... Oh yeah, okay. I can use a big truck. Good to know. Here we go. And now, of course, we see our machine tilting with the contour of the ground. So we'll just continue till we have her done. I think when it goes downhill it doesn't tilt near as much, and I have a feeling what we're also going to see as we continue on this is this machine is going to get dirty to where it's brown and practically unrecognizable. But we'll pay the $100 fee or whatever to have it cleaned on our behalf. Let's cut the back corner off. Once again, we see the hillside at work, keeping us level. Anyway, back to this house. We're having fun as a family, working together on it as we have time. Trying to make progress and getting rid of the briars, and we still got a ways to go on all that, but we made some significant strides on the briars. It's just so helpful seeing because you can see kind of what you're dealing with, and once you clear the clutter out of the way, and the nice thing about some of the cleanup effort is you get results quick when you do all that. Unlike later, you know, we still have the house to consider. I can't remember how much I said about that last time, but we did. My brother-in-law, one of my brother-in-laws, is a builder. And I asked him if he'd be willing to come look at the place. And really, I wanted the answer to one question. Looking at the house, you know, I couldn't even get this place insured. So while it's not insured, of course, nobody can treat it as a dwelling unit. They can't stay there because, you know, an insurance company wouldn't even allow occupancy. But the question I had for my brother-in-law is, would it be better to... Because here's the thing. Again, I don't remember how much I described last time. The house is kind of a cobbled-up affair. It was built from a single-wide, double-wide, whatever it was. And then he built or remodeled the house and built a stick home, if you will, non-trailer, right into the trailer. And so you have this old 1970s vintage trailer. I think it's older than I am. And then you have a house that was built into the side of it. And so the question is would it be better to bulldoze the whole thing and start over, or work with what we have and try to extricate the trailer off the side of the house and then kind of close up the hole, if you will. Of course, it makes it smaller, what we have, but would it be better to do that or to start over? And he came out, and after looking around and kind of looking at the foundation, going up into the attic, he laid out probably what some of the costs would be, for various options, if you will. And I mean, it's going to be expensive, but what I gather is we've already paid for the house, such as it is. So he suggested working with what we have. And I gotta say, it kind of turned my opinion. I basically was ready to just, bulldoze the whole thing, start over. And he kind of walked me away from that. So I don't know where we're going. I'm not a builder, so I can tear things apart. I think all of us can, right? So we'll see kind of how this goes. Just have to take our time as a family, figure out a way to tear it apart. And I might need to hire somebody to help us button it up, take care of the roof line, and some things like that. So, but anyhow, that's an update of our little acquisition we're working on as a family. So, is that going downhill? Nope, that's heading up. Being on a hill like this would be pretty hairy for a little combine like this. So, anywho, we'll finish this little nub here off cam and be ready to take it up in a different location for the next episode when we come back to good old Gelvin Valley. Thanks for coming along and listening to my silly stories and mumblings in here. And I hope you're doing well, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.